Yeah, it's kind of like the old Netflix mafia boss. I just need a voice converter now. All right, seriously. All right, focus. So for my birthday, which was just a couple of days ago, close to Christmas, lucky me, my wife was kind enough to buy me a set of the Neewer 660 Pro, Neewer 660 Pro II RGB panel lights. Pretty excited to open these up. What I'm using now over here is my key light. Is some $20 Jippo job from Amazon. I think it's a Ronaldo or Rinaldi or something. The stand goes about 4.5 feet tall. The light box is about 13 inches square. And the diffuser that's on it, I'm not sure that it might be more of an intensifier at this point. I don't know that it really works all that well. And it takes about a light wind or a small fart to knock the thing over. So it's not very sturdy. So with that said, let's jump into it and take a look what we got. Oh yeah, I did get the NS660 diffuser boxes for them. They're the square boxes that are going to attach that. We'll take a look at those later. I got 2 of those. They each come in their own package. So in the box, we've got, looks like a pretty decent bag. Not sure how well you can see that, but it looks like there's 2 slots. Oh, actually on each side to put a panel light in. So that'll be cool if I add more to it. And the center section here has looks like some straps for when I put the stands in. And also a little pocket over here for the power supplies on the side. So a little bit of padding, nothing fancy, but heck, it'll do. I don't plan on taking this to job sites. I'm not really a professional photographer, but we'll make it nice to stuff in my photography closet. So yeah, there's that. 2. Looks like there's 1. There's another of the Neewer panel lights. And got 2 of the 2 stands. And a little bit of plastic, and that's about it. Let's open these up and see what we got in there. Find something to open it with. See what's in the box. Looks like panel light here. That's pretty robust, really. I mean, it's a little heavier, more solid than I had thought. Barn doors, pretty nice. Looks like a flathead screwdriver, or even if you got a good grip, you can twist those off just by hand to take the barn doors off. I'm assuming you take those off if you want to put the diffuser on, which we'll take a look at here in a little bit. Back here, looks like we've got a spot for 2 Sony NPF mount style batteries. It's got an LCD display, AC power. It's got some sort of mode and channel here. That must be for, this has a 9 different settings that you can actually change. You know, things like a cop scene or a police or fire truck, disco, static television. So yeah, we'll take a look at those later, see what those look like. And then a mode selector for power. Center is off, right is AC, and then left with the 2 dashes is battery powered. I do plan on getting a couple of batteries for this. I don't really have a use for it outside. They're not extremely bright. I think they're about 50 watts or so. But so you're not going to overpower the sun or balance with the sun. But for in here, where I do some product photography and YouTube videos and those kind of things, it should do just fine. And especially adding a little bit of warmth and light and color to the videos, I'm really excited about, because up to this point I've been using this horrible piece of junk. It really is. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody, but everyone has to start somewhere. So yeah, that's the panel light itself. What else is in the box? Power supply, another cord. I kind of wish I've seen online where, and maybe it's just the bicolor ones, I'm not sure, but I've seen another video when I was doing some research on which ones I wanted, that there are some cases that are for just the panel lights themselves that are individual. Well, this lets me carry both at the same time, and maybe that's just when you buy them singly that they come with their own single case. But I kind of hoped for that in a way. It just seemed kind of nice to be able to take one somewhere if I wanted to as a background or fill light, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe I can buy that as an extra. Take a look online when, once I get these open. Well, there's one of the lights. We've already got one of those open. Let's take a look at what the stands look like. It's actually not bad. It's definitely nicer than the stand I have now currently on that over there. Anything could be at this point. Maybe something made out of balsa wood. But yeah, they've got kind of like a powder coating, I guess, maybe on it. The typical twisted plastic locks, which aren't really going to last forever, aren't all that robust. But like I said, these are probably going to stay set up quite often, or when they are set up, they're going to be used for several days in a row. But if this was something that's your profession, or you were going to start using this as a professional tool, I would probably recommend upgrading the stands at some point. I don't think they'd handle a lot of travel, use, and wear over time, opening and closing, opening and closing. We'll go ahead and open up one of these just as a kind of a teaser, but this will be towards the end of the video. We'll take a look and see how these softboxes, it's a square softbox in a round package. Kind of like that old fit in a square peg in a round hole, maybe? That's interesting. There's an actual instructions on how to open and close it. Maybe it's a trick. Anyway, you're kind of like you guys have sun visors in your car. Pretty similar to that. It looks like it's kind of one of those twist to open kind of things. So nothing too fancy. I'm not too sure about these. Well, once they're set up, I guess stays on there pretty good. And it looks like just Velcro. We'll play with that in a little bit. Well, let me get the rest of this all opened up, and we'll clean off the table, clean up my mess, which my wife will be proud of me for. Oh, one other thing I didn't mention is not only do we have, or maybe I did mention it, I just don't remember, we have the controls on the back, but also there is an app that you can get on your phone for this to control these from a distance, or while you're behind the camera, to control the hue, saturation, brightness, all the things you can control back here, you can control with the app as well. So here's everything out of the box, for the light kit at least. I still have the diffusers over here, one out of the box put together, but this is just everything that's in the box. You've got the two panel lights, two power adapters, and the two stands. I was going to pull up some specs here just to kind of tell you. I mean, when I was doing the research for this, the Neewer product really kind of stood out to me as a decent entry-level, mid-grade kind of amateur. I'm definitely not anything more than an amateur. For quality and kind of the capabilities of it, just as an example, I mean, these here are 50 watts power output. There's 660 LEDs on there. It has a CRI of 97. It's got 7,000 lux. It's dimmable, 1% increments, and the color temperature range is 3,200 Kelvin to 5,600 Kelvin. The great thing about these ones, I don't necessarily need the battery powered, but I wanted to have the option. I don't do a lot of outdoor stuff, at least not now, but as I'm kind of growing in my capabilities and abilities, I figured I would go ahead that route and give me the option to do that. So as I learn and start to grow and do newer things or experiment with things, I have the opportunity to try it and see what works and doesn't work. I'm really excited about trying out it's kind of just more of a novelty than anything, but the light effects that do the ambulance and the fire truck, police scene, disco, that kind of stuff. I think it'll be fun to have some cool effects in the background. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up one of these in place of my dumpster fire of a light over here now, see how different that looks for us, as well as then I'll have one of these kind of set up in frame so that we can kind of talk through it and take a look at what it's capable of doing and some of the features it has. Okay, so one thing right out of the gate I've noticed is these here, they're plastic, the clamps that go around them, the knobs are plastic, and on the feet, you can kind of maybe set the feet at different settings to get a little more out of it, get a little less stable at the more acute the angle of the feet. But what I did notice was it was kind of sliding a little bit, and as I put just a little bit of pressure on it, so I cranked it down a little harder, and it started to make some cracking noises. And doubt you can see it, but right here you can kind of see I've got it tightened down quite a bit, and there is an odd angle. It's not really closing flat, and you can see the screw bending out. So again, you know, this isn't professional quality, but you know, I'm definitely be careful if you get these, that these stands might not be something you want to open and close and tighten and close and tighten a bunch of times a week, because I don't know that they would hold up. But for what I'm going to use them for, they're going to be just fine. Like a little tab here, kind of like on my flash. I have an on-camera flash, and it's got a little removable plastic grid thing, but there's a little plastic clip right here that you can push down and I guess push back up. I don't know how, kind of awkward to lock it in and remove it. So I guess you get what you pay for, and I know why you pay a lot of money for some of these fancier other lights, but it's going to be just fine for me. Well, I'm not sure if you can tell the difference on that or not. I don't have it really turned up very bright, and there's no diffuser on it, so it's just the straight panel. A couple of weird quirks about that so far is, I'll show you on here, is, man, you really got to crank this dial. And maybe that's because everything's changed at 1% at a time, but man, it just seems like you're cranking and cranking and cranking to change the color values or the intensity. The power adapter, I have it not all the way extended. I have it probably 6 foot high. The brick itself, it's hanging midair. Maybe that's normal on photo equipment, I don't know, but I'm thinking I'm probably going to get some gaffer's tape or zip tie or some sort of Velcro and just strap it to the leg or somewhere on there so it's not just hanging in midair. Actually, it looks like it's tilting it a little bit. Well, let's get this one plugged in and see, and we'll kind of show you on the back what kind of some of these settings do. All right, lower this down a little bit. Hopefully everything's in frame. Yeah, see those legs. I put any kind of pressure on them, even though I've got that bottom plastic screw pulled pretty tight. It still wants to like push down if I push any pressure on it. So again, stands are what they are, but just be aware of that. Oh, let there be light. All right, cranking through the dial back there. It just keeps turning and turning and turning. But as you can see, we go through all the different color hues, and I do notice, and I think it's just the angle I'm at, but every once in a while I'll see like a bright spot, and I think it's just as the transitions the color. Wow, that's a nice red. But this would make a great, you know, hair light or facing against the wall in the back, you know, as accent colors. I'm really excited about trying these out in a couple of different, well, that's only 65%. That's pretty decent, you know, for a 50 watt LED. Now we're at 10. And also I only have that, I think right now it's set at 18%. So we'll get those adjusted and change with the light values and kind of see what looks better versus not. All right, so here we got the back of the panel. You can see we got the two spots for the Sony NPF mount or batteries. We have the power selector, so to the right is AC power, to all the way to the left is battery power to use the batteries, and if it's in the center it's off. I'm told that these two batteries together, I may have mentioned this before, but I was told that these two batteries together at 100%, you can actually run these lights at 100% for almost 4 hours, 3 hours and 45 minutes. I'm sure the batteries depend on, you know, are they new, are they used, what brand, but you know, a couple of hours even of constant use on those batteries is pretty good, at least for what I'm going to be doing. Again, you're not going to be shooting a movie on these unless you've got a metric ton of batteries to haul around with you to run all day without some sort of external power source. But right now it looks like we're at 50% power. You can see I can change the Kelvin value. It goes all the way up to 5600 and down as low as 3200. So not a full range, but at least in a range enough to kind of get you that warm and cold light. We can bring down the percentage of power. 10% is pretty low, but wow, you bring this thing up all the way to 100% and it's definitely bright. You know, I'm not sure if you can really tell that on screen or not. And here's the mode kind of, so now I've changed it to the RGB. And in here I can change again the value of how intense it is or bright, and then here's the control. Again, as you can see, you got it just crank and crank and crank just to change that a little bit. So, you know, this will take a little bit of getting used to. The app, you know, for sure when you're using the app, definitely has a much better experience of adjusting those colors. But what's nice is you can really tune that into exactly what hue you want. And then here you've got the modes. You can kind of go to, you know, this is scene mode here of, I think, the TV static. And then you've got lightning flashes. This is paparazzi. That changes you from your different modes. So here is, I think, the fire truck. Here is the ambulance. And then A would be your police. Okay, so you got the back here. And as you can see, just basically a bunch of Velcro straps. And it looks to me like we get this all the way open here. And those kind of, well, they got a little bit of Velcro right here to hold it down and open while you're trying to fiddle it on there. So assuming these notches are for the sides here. So I'm actually not sure. Turn that bad boy on. As you can see, it definitely softens the light. I haven't changed anything, and I'm not sure if you can, really can't see a whole lot, but what I can tell is that the lights definitely across my 3D printer and some of my IKEA shelving over here definitely wraps around the edges a little better and appears to not be so harsh. Okay, so this is set at 5600 Kelvin, 50% power, and just the plastic diffuser in. So definitely is a pretty, it's actually not a bad light, to be honest. I'm not too unhappy with how it looks. I think I could tune that to be just fine the way it is without the softbox. So pretty excited about that. Although the softbox will allow me to get a lot closer when I'm doing some product photography and those kind of things. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the exact same settings, and I'm going to walk away and go set the other one up in the exact same spot the other one was, at the same angle, same height, and we'll see if they look any different. Oh wow, actually that makes a pretty big difference. I'm pretty impressed. Wow, I'm really impressed with that light. With the diffuser on it, it really does a good job. It's in the exact same spot as the other one. Yeah, I'm really happy. I mean, I got to tell you, this is definitely a step in the right direction. I really am pleased with what these lights are doing for me. I enjoy the color. I'm looking down here at my little my monitor, which is really just my iPhone that I've got camera connected to from my R6. But I like the light. It's really a big difference from the old junky jalopy that I had for a couple of years. And you know, I would recommend this setup to anyone that is looking to kind of take the next logical step in improving the quality of the equipment and the light, and realizing that light really plays the biggest importance in your photography and videography world. And I would definitely recommend this as a kit to start with. Hopefully you guys liked what you saw today and it was of value, and if so, I appreciate a like and a subscribe. It helps the channel grow. This is my very first video on YouTube, so yeah, it would help me kind of motivate me to get onto the second one. But this has been a lot of fun, and hopefully you'll see a lot more of it. All right, bye. Animals, I think it's about the only thing I know how to do as a bunny. I don't know any. How do you do other stuff? I don't know. I'll probably end up doing something inappropriate, so I probably should stop.